Hey everyone, it is Fitz with the Walk and Talk. I'm going to stand right here in this mediocre lighting and talk about Kansas State's 34-27 loss to Texas. A game that was lost in the first half, and honestly a game that was lost in the first half by the defense. Now I know it's easy to scramble around and say, hey, they should have started Will Howard. He was the hot hand, and Adrian Martinez didn't win this game. We'll never know what would have happened to Will Howard to start it, but I know this. The quarterback play had no impact on the fact that Kansas State gave up more than 200 yards of rushing to Bijan Robinson. And that's just awful defense. And as Chris Kleiman said, they tackled miserably in the first half. And a lot of that's Bijan. He is really good. He's a big-time NFL guy. And then, you throw in other big plays. Defense gave up 31 points in the first half. So I admit that Adrian Martinez's interception led to one of those touchdowns, but goodness. You can't give up that kind of yardage, those kind of points in the half, and then expect to dig your way all the way out. K-State came close. They couldn't quite get it done. The last fumble, I don't put that on Adrian. He's just trying to stay in the pocket, try to find a receiver. He said he'd worked all the way down to his progressions, and he was cutting it loose on the check down, and the ball got batted away. That just happens. And another point to emphasize this is that Adrian Martinez spent a lot of the night eluding the pass rush. Really had a lot of guys in his face all night. And I'm not sure that Will Howard is able to get out of those jams. But again, we'll never know. But when you give up that kind of rushing yardage, when you get outscored so emphatically in the first half, you are in big trouble, and K-State was. And as Coach Kleiman said, to their credit, they kept climbing and clawing and trying to dig out of that hole. And they finally, kind of got their head above water. And then we saw just kind of chaos there on that second to last possession where they couldn't get the right play in. They had personnel issues because they had backup receivers, and they were trying to, just work the best they could. And they should have burned a timeout right there. They absolutely should have burned a timeout, and I think in hindsight everyone knows that, but they didn't. And because they didn't, they just were so short on time, and they just couldn't get Texas stopped. Really, really disappointing performance in that first half. It was lost in the first half. Texas, as I said, was the far better team in this game, and in all honesty, that's the best I've seen Texas play since their first game of the season against Alabama. They were really, really good in this game. They made the most of the week off. Congratulations to Sark and that team. Now they're in the hunt. Now they're in the driver's seat for that second spot in Arlington, but they got to get through TCU next week, and that's really a big game for K-State to watch. And if you're K-State, you just need to keep winning. Baylor's been an ongoing issue for K-State, going down there and losing big games. But I'm telling you what, if K-State can find a way to go to Baylor and win, then they've got West Virginia and Kansas, and things get a little bit more manageable for the Wildcats. So it's one of those situations where now Kansas State can just control what they can control. And if Texas doesn't lose or, beats TCU and doesn't get another loss, they're not going to Arlington, but they'll at least maybe finish with 9 wins in the season. We'll see how it plays out down the stretch, but huge game next week as the Cats go to Baylor, and they're going to have to find a way to regroup and get back kind of their mojo. And maybe there was a hangover from last week. It came so easily last week, and Texas was really good. And the difference for me, the two games, wasn't the quarterback. The difference of the two games was how the line of scrimmage was managed. Last week, K-State's lines absolutely kicked Oklahoma State all over the field. This week, Texas won the battle. Texas won the battle up front, and you've got to give credit to that Texas offensive line. They're starting 2 true freshmen and 2 sophomores, and they put on one whale of performance. They blocked really well for Bijan and everyone. They protected enough to give Quinn Ewers enough time to operate. It was an impressive performance by that offensive line. K-State now, drops to 6-3. They now dropped to 4-2 in the Big 12. Still got a lot of football to play. And they can still manage their way into the Big 12 championship with a little help. But this is one of those games you just want to put behind you and move on. And I know it's easy or satisfying to look for easy solutions, easy problems. It was the quarterback, and it was a lot more complex than that. But K-State just got to keep rowing, got to keep going, and we'll see if that takes them to Arlington or not. But congratulations to Texas. That was a really, really strong performance by the Longhorns. But boy, their second half fades have got to be ongoing concerns. They got off the hook on this one, but they have blown a lot of leads in the second half, and they just finally built a big enough lead where they couldn't squander it all in that second half. Well, that's it for this Stand and Preach. I'll be back next week. I'm back on Sunday with a daily delivery. Got some things to say about the K-State fans, because you guys are pretty awesome.